Precious Father, thank you. We have the privilege and honor of calling on the great Spirit, our Holy Spirit, to be with us today as we make decisions for our people, and just help us in our minds and thinking things out and be with the ones that will be here. Thank you for this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Chairman Claude Estes.
Here.
Vice Chairman Cody Russell.
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Bailey Goodface. Here. Councilmember Joel Jandrew.
Here.
Councilmember Chris Gunk.
Here.
Councilmember Louis Grasser.
Here.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to those in the audience. Entertain a motion to close the September 2023 meetings.
So moved.
A motion by Chris.
Second.
Second by Louis. Any discussion on this? None. Chris?
No.
Bailey?
Nope.
Lou?
No.
Cody? No. Call for the vote. Louis? 4. Chris?
4.
Bailey?
4.
Jewel?
4.
Cody? 4. Motion carries 5-4-0 against, none not voting. Did you all get a chance to take a look at your September meetings minutes?
On that, I got a question, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
In the minutes of number 18, that Farmers National Company, what did they want?
I want to say it was about 120,000 a year for 3 years, maybe. I think it was about 120,000 to do the assessment
For
and
the
then-
farm?
or maybe it was 5 years.
I thought there was
5 years.
18.
5 years, yeah, the Farmers National request.
About 120,000 for 3 years or 5 years?
I think it was 5 years.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Motion to approve the September meeting minutes.
Motion.
Put a motion by Cody,
Wait.
second by Chris. Any discussion, Louis?
No.
Chris? Bailey?
No.
Joe?
No.
Cody? Call for the vote, Louis?
4.
Chris?
4.
Bailey?
4.
Joe?
4.
Cody? 4. Motion carries 5-4-0 against, none not voting. Number 5, health administration bid, is that the one? Ursula, that for the sidewalk project?
That has, yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Brewski, Sheets, and Westendorf?
Yep. I'll make the motion to approve the low bid of Brewski.
Second.
A motion by Bailey, second by Chris to approve the Todd Brewski construction bid. Does the low bid of $45,757. Any discussion, Louis? Chris? Bailey?
No.
Joe?
No.
Cody? Call for the vote, Louis?
4.
Chris? Bailey?
4. 4.
Cody?
4.
Motion carries 5-4-0 against none. Jason Goodface, where did he go? Did Joel submit his climate grant app in here?
No, there was just an email. He said since you guys had already talked about it. He just sent an email and then he wouldn't actually be here.
Said what?
He just sent an email about it. He sent an attachment. So he said he'd already talked to you guys about it last week.
Beautiful one, please, minutes. They never started work on this yet, did they, Ms. Hoffman?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was what they did already up there with the new sidewalk and stuff. Could be wrong. Ask, Christine. Go ahead, Mr. Goodface, with your request.
Morning. I don't know where to start. I asked a couple people to come here with me. I was trying to do a community event for the community, for the kids and for the adults. So I was came to you guys to see if there's any help from you guys to do one, for like October 28th. I do have the kids in there too. I know that the school does one, but I think the community needs to do one for, for our children. I just came to ask if there's any help or anything that you guys can help with. I know in the past, Janji used to do this, but ever since she passed, no one has done it since. So I thought I'd try to get it back in here, and I just don't know where to go to start it. So I thought I'd come to you guys.
It's October 28th.
Yeah.
It'll be on a Saturday?
Yes. I talked with the casino. They're doing theirs on the 27th, I believe.
They what?
They're doing theirs on the 27th, the casino, so
Is there's contest too?
I believe so, yes.
Been to a few of those dances, they're pretty good. Participated in a few.
We all did.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I would like to assist him. We need the amount of money with that motion.
I think the total's on the back page, second page.
How much do you have raised?
Nothing yet. That's why I was coming here first and then see what you guys can help with. And then I was gonna go start doing like fundraisings and then.
What's your plan to raise?
There's a couple people reached out to me, said that we'll do a food sale. And then I was trying to do like a Halloween trail, spook trail or something, just to raise some extra money. We do that on Saturday after payday, so.
Who assisted Jackie?
I can't remember. I remember I talked to her a few times about it. I know she said she went through programs in the council.
I think, Shirley, do you remember, did Greg Miller used to help Jackie with those Halloween sobriety dances?
Fundraisers and, yeah, this would be, helping,
Greg Miller?
something, for alcohol free.
Yeah.
I think what
Pardon?
the alcohol program could just do, at least help out with price, like probably, and
Isn't there something on the 30th?
I know the school is doing a carnival, but like I said, the school is doing one, but I would like the community, a lot of the council members use the children as their campaign. And, I would like to see that the community could hold one for the community. So. It's children, adult and children. You wanna come sit up?
that what you're doing,
No, it's for adults and children is what he's.
for one of the children, yeah. I mean,
Christy, do you know if the alcoholism program, I'm not sure if you were here yet at the time, but do they help with the sobriety dance for the Halloween party?
yeah.
So like an estimated that they would help with?
I don't think they've ever denied, I don't know this number, but they've never denied. whatever's been asked of them.
Did you visit with Christine yet on it?
No, so I want to come to you guys first and then I'll go to the programs. I want to see what you guys can do. Then I'll go, because I got a letter here for the program directors too. So,
Whatever funding you don't get, try to muster up between us.
Like Christine, how much?
Talk to Christy. And Christy, can you talk with him a little bit and see how much, and then just contact me, you know.
So gotta, you know, state that motion.
Yeah, make a motion to what you're doing after you, whatever funding you don't use, us as a council, our own pocket to help assist.
Motion by Lewis, second by Chris. Any discussion, Lewis?
None.
Chris? Bailey?
No.
Jewel?
No.
Cody? No. Call for the vote, Lewis? 4. Chris? 4. Bailey?
4.
Jewel?
4.
Cody? 4. Motion carries 5-4-0 against, I'm not voting.
It's an allowable cost though in the alcohol program because it is the sobriety net.
I know, that's why I wrote this letter. So that was my next. All right, thank you guys.
We'll table number 7 for now as Ursa work on that email that Joel sent. Get to that in the afternoon. Christine, Shirley, and Victoria. Yeah, number 8.
Or you got the answer for it.
Oh, yeah.
She came elevator. Okay. The first thing is, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris.
Mental health. We've been working on different, plans on that. And I think you guys already know that there's only 36,000. We got 36,000 this year for mental health. So that we either have to have the person do 2 jobs or them have a different job. And we supplement it because we can't hire anybody on that. So what we did was we contacted IHS to see if it would be possible to bring Derry under our program and pay him and then send everyone over there. But they weren't in favor of that because for a couple reasons. They said they didn't know if our auditors would like that because it would be Department of Justice and then 638 funds. And the other reason was because our scope of work says that we will send someone over there, and they felt that the rest of the community, we were lacking in our duty to provide for them. So we met with the new director of the behavioral health with IHS, and what they suggested, or the idea they came up with, was that we work with their telehealth program. It's $150 per person per visit, but we still haven't worked out all the details, how long it would take for someone to get in, or is there going to be a long waiting time? So we don't know if that's going to work yet, but that's what we're looking at right now. And we meet with the IHS tomorrow to figure out all of those details. And if it seems like, it will meet our need, then that's probably what we'll do. But, we'll come back here first. We're continually trying to find solutions, and that's kind of where we're at right now. The third party with the judge and dairy and all that stuff, we had 2 meetings yesterday and 2 this morning, and the preliminary things we're finding out is that it's not going to work at this time because this is the first time it's ever been asked, and the policies aren't laid out. I think what the judge wants to do now is she's going to come before you guys and ask for a resolution for her to just be able to come under the tribe. But this morning, Medicaid told us that wouldn't work, that she would still have to meet all the requirements that the tribe had to meet at the beginning. And she can't meet those requirements because she can't get IHS accreditation. So from what I understand right now, it's not it's not gonna work that way. But that, I don't know if she's coming today or not, but that's just the update where that's at. The other thing is,
Quick question, Christy.
yep,
For dairy, I know that, Trish was working on getting third-party payments for, did any of that go through, or that's the same?
it's the same thing. We're kind of all, Tricia's been working on it and the judge's been working on it, and then we're kind of like in the middle. But we have to get IHS's approval pretty much before we do that. And they, at this point, can't give the judge what she needs to get the Medicaid accreditation, is where it's at right now. So what they had suggested was she just come under the tribe and get a resolution.
I mean, is that with dairy as well?
Yes, it is with Derry, because he's the one that would be,
So can we do it vice versa? And if we hired dairy as mental health and then do, you know how you said we could go over there, maybe they could come over here?
but we only get $36,000. So then where's the rest of his pay gonna come from? And their question was, will our auditors allow that? So that's something that I don't know. I mean, that's a question, it's a possibility. I mean, if you hired him, but then what would he do, go over? Victoria? Cause I don't know.
'Cause I'm not sure, and I would have to ask or look at the question and see how much his, pay is over there as a mental health professional. But, how there's a few other positions over there that are not funded. I'm not sure if this is one of them or not. If it's not, it just makes sense for him to come over here and work as a mental health professional and then share services with them. And, kind of vice versa thing. I will talk to Deb about it and see with that. Because it doesn't make sense to put him somewhere and, promise him a salary that we don't have the funding for, but yet there's funding here under mental health for him.
Right.
But they were looking at getting third-party payments to him too, and like I said, I never knew that. I mean, I didn't hear the outcome of that.
It's not gonna happen right now until things get situated, because it's drug court is who she's trying to go through. And if Derry comes over here and becomes our employee and works for us, we will be the one that gets all the third party. So they won't be getting any third party, so that doesn't do anything for them. They want their own third party, which is understandable. And I agree, because if they could get their own third party, so I think that the judge just has to keep knocking at that door and keep pushing until they give her a way that she can do it.
But that's a grant versus ours is 638.
Right, and she doesn't know that but hers is a
Contract.
Department of Justice, yeah. But I mean, it's not, we're trying to help her to work it out, but I don't think just getting a resolution is what's gonna get her where she wants to be right now. I guess that's all we wanted to say, so that you knew. Just if she got a resolution, it wasn't gonna work at this time. And I didn't get to talk to her yet because we just got off the phone with him. Does that make sense? Cody, does that make sense? You're looking at me like I confused everybody. Yeah, right. I know, that's what I did.
Billy, you're gonna talk to Deb?
Well, no, that was just kind of a side question, because we had already discussed the third-party payment for dairy when, we came up with the situation about, the tribal courts being overspent, and as much as they're being overspent, and we come up with a handful of positions that were not funded. And I cannot remember if dairy was one, I don't remember. But then we were looking into with Trish about getting third-party payment from Medicaid for dairy services over there. So if that was the case, and if his position isn't funded over there, it would make sense to bring him over here, share the services over there. That way we could qualify for the third-party payment. But she said that's something that IHS is looking at it being a problem. And then also if the auditors would allow it, so that's why we can ask Deb, about that with the auditors.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that we actually did this one other time, and we there was another gal that worked here, and then she went over to the courts. And then we tried to pay half her salary and wrote everything up that way. And then someone in fiscal stopped it. So they must have thought that that was not going to work. So then we never had to pay half of her salary because for whatever reason, fiscal thought that it wasn't a good idea. So I'm assuming they felt that our auditors wouldn't like it.
Yeah, and I
That
know-
was years ago, though, about
Yeah.
5, 7.
And I know that there was an issue at one point too, because there was a few people working in 2 different jobs that they either had to pick an either or because it wasn't being, but then, I don't know, I don't know now, but when, Ellen was here, she was getting paid, out of multiple programs, and I don't know the whole history of that, but I know that there was an issue in the past about getting paid from 2 separate programs.
And it was my understanding that part of her salary was going to come from that 36,000, but we never spent any of the mental health dollars. So whatever the previous person was getting paid under, it wasn't from us. It wasn't from the mental health $30,000. So I don't know what programs it was. I'm just saying ours wasn't involved, and that might have been why, because it was more than just one program she was getting paid from. So this probably could have already been discussed in fiscal, and it wasn't a go. I don't know. I just want you to know that we are trying to help them and to work with them, but right now, the answers we're getting are, no, it's not going to work. So, but we'll keep trying. The other thing is that, is my understanding that Victoria was directed Clyde to work with Camera and Ion. And we're wondering if we were provided an invoice, and we're wanting to know who is fiscally responsible for the things that they bill for. We're wondering if.
Do you have that invoice with you?
I don't think I brought it. Or maybe I did.
Well, I thought the discussion was that, remember I asked this because Alan was the last one that was helping after she left. And I think Victoria was gonna look in to see if her program could pick them up as being oversight of the shelters.
I think I was here before that, and I said that we could not financially support them. So when you were.
It should have been in writing then, not to get mad or anything, but that's why things need to be in writing. So there's clear and absolute proof of what was denied or why we can't do things.
Or it would be on her minutes.
Because then it just causes confusion.
Okay, I apologize. I should have put it, when you asked me during the meeting, I said we could not financially support them.
I remember asking you too, Christy, excuse me, I guess maybe it's my memory, but you were sitting over there in one of those chairs, and I asked when Camera and Ian were here if you were able to support it, and you said yes, and I thought you did, so that's why, I made that confirmation that before we went forward with any services we had with them, that there was a source of money.
I would have looked at the TOR grant to cover the things that they have. That's a tribal opioid response grant that we got from Great Plains Tribal Chairmans. And it only went this 1 year, and there is a cost extension. And we could, I thought we could have got things through there. And if I said yes, then that would have been what I was thinking. Or if it would have been a specific instance, I don't know. But we can't support them. And I thought you and I talked about that, Clyde. Financially, I said we would do everything we could to help them, but I just couldn't support them financially.
Or being hired under the counseling service or something.
Well, you asked me and I said, no, I didn't do that.
But it was my understanding that when I said I would help, we already do it for those people who are on those shelters, is to transport them to the medical appointments. That's what I meant by my support as my service, my program. So I didn't know Wade, it was the financial part
I just
mentioned.
remember whenever they were here, I had asked, and I'm pretty sure you said yes and confirmed that you, that's why we went forward with all the plans of the homeless shelters. I've never asked her, Victoria, about it because I had confirmed it with you already. Victoria was the funding for the, is it different funding the homeless shelters that we're home funding this variety shelter?
Well, it would have to be because our budget is really limited in terms of like the sober houses, we really only pay it through, mostly to cover utilities. And then if there's a little bit extra, we put it into for maintenance. So we don't have like a full-blown budget for those houses. We've been trying, at one point, we were trying to use the monies. I tried to explain that too when I was here the last time, was that we've had all these expenses to bring us up to code so that we can pass the evaluation with IHS. And so most of that funding is gone. And then prior to my being employed here, there used to be positions like a house manager and those kinds of positions for the sober house. But that was when we were fully staffed, where we had there were two counselors working at the counseling center, and then there was one person that was going to be a live-in, and we've just relied on the donation of time, and the resident that's been there the longest has been kind of just keeping an eye on things around the building and stuff like that, and we've tried to put up cameras, but we had an incident in January where they kind of broke the cameras and moved the modem and different things like that, and broke into the houses and kind of damaged them pretty good.
You said there was a position previously for a house manager. Do you know who that individual was?
No, this was before I started working
You don't
here.
know who it was.
I don't know who it was.
But you were able to fund that position, though, right?
But we don't have that money now. We haven't had that position filled since I started work here. That position was never advertised or filled. So they had it before my time, and possibly a year before that, they didn't have that position filled. I mean, it's always been that's part of the reason why we changed the houses more to like a more halfway house, because we don't have the full 24-hour coverage that a transitional living would have.
But I'm not like, and I don't have any information on the homeless shelters. Was there any kind of money or contributions or anything going into those?
Alan was helping with that. I would have to find out with Ricky if she can find out anything from what was left on the paperwork part, because I think she was paying the electrical and the propane. As far as caretaker, no, I mean, she wasn't specifically paying for a caretaker.
I'm pretty sure the caretakers were coming out of like Volk or
Yeah,
WEOP program.
yeah, I know one was under Volk, maybe both.
Yeah.
For the woman that was at the female's place.
And then the Native Connections was used, remember, it was in their job description, their scope of work. So they kind of used
that
that
was
way
Kamala.
too.
I don't think
It was
it was
Kamala.
actually a budget item in their Native Connections budget. It was just helping, assisting, because it wasn't really in their scope of work. It was to work with substance abuse issues, but it wasn't specifically geared for the homeless shelters. It was more of a collaborative teamwork
Yeah.
effort between Alan, Native Connections, me. That's about it.
So do they plan on submitting invoices for?
See, that's what, we don't know. We're confused and we're trying to just understand what's going on. We don't
there's a
know,
contract in place, is there?
we just don't know what's going on. We don't know. We just know that from what we understood, Clyde had told Victoria to work with them. We can work with them.
Well, remember, they came in and gave the presentation, and that way I thought it was that they were gonna be working with you or for you or something, so.
So if
And,
they're able to write grants for the shelter, they can do that.
But we need to know who's going to pay for them all the time to write all those grants. If they are going to write is that what we're supposed to do? We want to know what is expected of us. We want to know, who is going to be paying for this. If they're writing grants for the shelter, are we supposed to cover that or what? Or who's covering what? What are these people doing? Who's paying them? And who do they report to? I mean, I wasn't here then. I don't know what happened. I know I came and then she came after me. And I'm just trying to figure out what the plan is.
After our discussion, I went and I met with Ion and Tamara, and I think it was the Thursday after the meeting. And we discussed we started out with what it is we were expecting. And so the thing is about writing grants. And they said, well, they're willing to do that. Okay. And then Ian said that he could help manage he said that maybe we could put the sober houses and the shelters together under taking care of them, checking to see if everything's in order, the houses were ready for someone to move in and do the initial intakes for this, not the sober houses, but for the shelters and that. There was never any discussion about payment, about a salary or billing or who to bill. I asked him about, I think I've asked him a couple times about how was he getting these locks and stuff like that. He said that he had a donation. Somebody gave a donation to put the 8 doorknobs on and the deadbolt digital locks on even the sober houses. And then he said he's just been, I guess, either people he knows or people in the community he's talked with that know someone has donated a few things else for the repairs of the house. But that's about all. And then he thought that there was a while back, he says it wasn't recently, but a while back, there was a discussion that maybe a program such as our program could maybe help with some funding for them. But that's about it. It's like, there's nothing like, are we in? He felt like it was with the council that he got the okay to do things through you. But nothing in writing, there's nothing in writing or anything like that. It's just been discussions all along.
Well, I thought when we met with him, when you guys came in with them, it was what the request was, from what I remember, was to just sit there and write out the grants and put them in.
Well, that's what we thought when we first met them I think that was the meeting, and then they came in, and then the one I remember was that I thought they got the go-ahead to do that processing grant. But then again, maybe they didn't, I don't know.
They came in and just asked for permission to submit the grants, is what I remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't to sit there and, I don't remember any contracts or anything being made out to fiscally taking care of them. But that was, like I said, this is something that maybe needs to be talked more with them in depth. But for as much as I remember, the conversation was just to permission to fill out the grants and submit them in. That was it.
It went back to them doing the assessment. I don't know who went with them to do the assessment. Did you go with them, Jewel, to do the assessment?
Yeah. There was anything that Alan.
Yeah, after we met with them, then they went to do that assessment.
I would know, I would have known when I got my report, my fiscal report, but to my knowledge, she never paid for anything. She didn't pay for anything out of mental health. I know that because there was nothing spent out of there. Unless she was getting it out of GA, whatever the GA portion of that would have been, then she could have been doing that.
Could you get VOC or WIA payments out? I mean, if you weren't a tribal member or a non-native?
Say that again?
Like if we, like just basically had them under the WIA program or the VOC program, like you were saying. Can you do that without being a tribal member or a native?
Both maybe, but pretty sure WI program is for members within the.
Or tribal members? What about housing? Why wouldn't they help with something like this? Because
I tried before we got that, and all the best they could do was give us the 2 houses. So when we had the CARES money, 2022 council approved using CARES money to rehab those. There was 2 units for COVID homes or for COVID quarantine areas. And then once COVID kind of subsided, then it was the shelters. Because we made them specific, one for men and one for women. That was the whole point, the whole time was, trying to, a lot of people said they would write those homeless grants, but nobody ever did. I don't know what happened there. So when we met with Mr. and Mrs. Grove, I thought that was the thing, because they worked in something like that in Sioux Falls where they knew where to go for funding for that. That's why I swore I remember they were gonna work with you on prevention stuff.
Right, and we've met and talked about what those needs are, but I haven't been, Tamara hasn't talked to me other than what she presented here, saying there were 3 possible grants that could be written, but I haven't seen any of them, and I think the dates now are past due now.
And I understand with the sober houses, because that's part of the, the well-being or the health department. But homelessness is part of housing, like, you know what I mean? So it seems like the funding for them would have some sort of scope and work to address the the homelessness.
When we brought it up in 2022 council, they said it doesn't work for them. They tried it before. I guess the stabbing cabins were homeless shelters. I wasn't aware of that, so.
So see, if they've had the opportunity to try it in the past, obviously there's some sort of something in their scope of work that says they can support this, you know what I'm saying? There has to be, it's housing and it's homelessness.
What did they tell you, Victoria, housing, when you reached out to them for?
I just said that we don't have any connection with your houses, that if you want services, you have to pay for them. I mean, every time, because we'd have some problem that we needed fixed at the house, and they'd say, well, we can't do that, you'll have to call somebody to have that fixed.
And I think that it goes back to not really just taking your word for it and finding out, looking into it and seeing.
What happened was
Somebody besides how.
they transferred those houses to the tribe. They more or less just gave them to us. They didn't. And we put, I want to say 70,000 into one, maybe 80,000 into other, a complete rebuild of each house. From appliances to the floors to everything that was used. Those were CARES dollars, because they were going to use them. They were actually used for COVID quarantines. And then they became the homeless shelters. And that was my biggest fight since 2022 council, is trying to find a program that would take over and would be the program administrator for them shelters. So I said, council ain't got time to be running no homeless shelters, but yet there's a need in our community. I mean, look at all the people there now. Where would they be if there was no homeless shelters? Then if it goes back, this is my thinking on it was, if we got a male that's doing a great job in the men's, trying to keep his foot down and hold those guys responsible in the men's. Women's, I can't, it's tougher, but I looked at it as, why couldn't we use it in some sort of prevention? Because most of them in there are on some kind of, whether it be SNAP or TANF or GA or VOC or, whatever program. And why couldn't we try to do a wraparound? So come back to the SOC model, to strategize on this and figure this out, what program is allowable to work on this? Because it's a community issue. It's not just a council and a counseling issue. It's everybody's issue. Maybe we need to have a separate meeting on this and discuss that. And with Mr. and Mrs. Grove, if they were going to be hired for a payment, there should have been a contract in place.
Well, I think she came in as, I was just reading my notes, they came in as a consulting. It's Dr. Tammy Grove Consulting. That's why they requested to do the meat processing plant and so forth, as to doing the grants for that. So then you can, the issue with their consulting is kind of, I don't know.
So for the sake of time, we got a lot of stuff on the agenda. Can we, next week or the week after, try to set up a meeting with them? Or if you guys can reach out to them after this meeting to say we need a scheduled meeting to go over this, because there's confusion here of what There either should have been a contract or a contract for payment for services, or a contract for services in place. The only thing I remember the council allowing them at the time was to do the grant for the meat processing plant and then to do the assessment. But the assessment was more of a verbal. I think the meat processing we had to have done by resolution, I thought.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember. So sorry for getting upset with you, Mrs. Olson.
So there is like I said, an invoice that fiscal has, and I did put a line item code on there, but it was not with any of the $638. I used money out of my patient transport third party because I wasn't sure what to do. When I took it to the finance office, they thought that the only work that they were doing was for a packing plant. And so they denied it. They said that that wouldn't work. So I then again was confused, and that's why we came here, because nobody seems to know. We weren't trying to be, rude or crude, and it's not that we don't want to help them. Obviously, we do want to help them, but we just need clarification of what is expected of us. Oh, sorry.
Everybody understanding that?
Oh, yeah, this is for the STIs. If we want to, if you sign this MOU, then they can come in and talk to the students or the community if you want them to, but they won't come in unless Great Plains for their STD program. If you sign that MOU, then they can come in and do talks. Mike and Bobby do some, and they can do most of them, but if there comes a time when they can't do them, then Great Plains could come in if they have that MOU signed. Thanks.
Thank you, ladies.
Yep,
Coming in. Thank you, guys.
thank you. Thank you.
So can I,
Yeah, I'll do that. And real quick, can we do,
can I ask something about this before we move on?
what?
Can I make a comment about this before we move on?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I would like to, I don't know if okay, so I want to make a motion to direct the housing grant writer. They have a grant writer, right? Isn't it Stuart? Or the grant coordinator at housing to research any grant opportunities to address the homelessness problem here, or research in their funding and sources of income in their work to see what they can do to contribute to the homeless shelter.
Yeah, I could check with them. I think that's right. I think they are working on something, but I missed the last couple.
And I just kind of want to put that in motion so they don't retaliate, because I've instructed them to do other things and they just don't.
Do you still sit on it?
I mean, if he's not out, he can take it to their board.
Take it to the board. I missed the meeting last night.
Yeah.
Said I'm,
So you can state that as a motion?
what's the motion to see if they could find funding for the homeless shelter.
Have the grants manager, grant coordinator of the housing, look within their, available funding or their awarded funding, or, any grant opportunities to assist with the homeless shelters.
Once they do locate some funds, then who goes after it?
It would be housing probably, because it's housing, it's homelessness.
Well, it's just like hold on, let me finish. It's just like I stated here. I've been working on this project for 3 years and nobody wanted to help me except for Ellen. I asked and asked and asked and asked and asked. And everybody just keeps passing the buck, and more or less, well, the council can do it, it's their idea. We ain't got time to be running homeless shelters. Our job is to run the tribe. And that's what is upsetting, because people keep passing the buck and think it's gonna solve itself, and it won't. And that's why when we had the Society of Care model implementation, that was the whole purpose of, part of that purpose of the SOC, to come together to strategize and figure these things out. That way we won't be at where we're at right now with this confusion of, well, whose responsibility, who's, that's not acceptable.
Because we know there are grants out there for the homelessness, and so for us to place a directive on the grants coordinator or administrator at the housing to seek those grants and, possibly implement them, I think that if we give them a directive, that's why I'm making the motion, so they can put that, because they'll work so quickly to evict families and make families homeless, well, then they're creating part of the problem. They actually are creating the problem, part of the problem. And so I think, and with it being housing, I mean, obviously there is grants out there for homelessness. So if we direct the grants operator coordinator to research those and apply for those, and they would have to come up with a result, what result did you get? At least come up with a response instead of just ignoring the request.
Got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lewis. Any discussion, Lewis? Chris? Bailey?
No.
Joel?
No.
I just got a message from Tamara, and she said they're waiting on this grant that they submitted, and for the expenses. The next month or so they'll hear. So that should take care of that.
Call for the vote, Lewis.
4.
Chris? 4. Bailey?
4.
Joel?
4.
Cody? 4. Motion carries 5-4-0.
Sorry, what was you gonna say?
Question. Louis, are you sitting on the housing board?
I'm not sitting on it, go down there too.
My question is, doesn't the housing department or HUD have a process by which they take input from the community to determine how their program's gonna run? Are they gonna respond to homelessness? Are they gonna have emergency vouchers for people that are homeless? I know we don't have that here, because.
Well, that's, from my understanding, that's been brought up to some of the meetings I've been able to go to, and they were working on it. This person to probably have to talk to would be Tim, since he's the chairman of the housing board. But in the end, is to basically see, they were working on processes, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know how long their contract or grant works, but I would think that they'd have some requirement in there to hear from the community members in the tribe.
Yeah, so in the ICDB grant, there is a requirement to hold a community public meeting. You guys ever remember having that? They say it's in October, and when we got the first one, it was like a cut and paste type of thing, so it said, the community outreach or whatever, 2022, and then right afterwards it said 2023. So, you know what I mean? The cut and paste kind of showed that it was just a formality that they're putting in there just to get approved for the grant. I don't remember, and October is my month. I mean, I'm kind of pretty big on October, but I don't ever remember them having a community meeting about the community development for the renovations of the homes and those kinds of things. And I don't remember that, but they did put it in their grant stating they did have it. So I don't know how truthful that is either. So like I said, whenever we need to start holding them, giving them directives, pulling them to the table and making them produce results.
They do have housing board meetings every month, I think, when.
Either it's the same time as these ones or 2 days prior before.
I thought it was a business meeting on Monday and then
It's a business meeting to talk what they got going on,
and then the Tuesday is the housing board meeting.
Tuesday is the housing board meeting.
Last week of the month.
No, it's the next day right after that one.
Mrs. Goodface. Running about almost 10 minutes behind here.
That's good.
Try to get you guys out by 4:30 today. Morning, Emma.
Oh, good morning.
Hi, Lubina.
Hi. Courtney with me, but I just wanted to bring to your attention, with the whole, GA, how they did it when, the summer youth and summer, on-the-job training started. Okay, it was told to them that if, and it's even in the CFR, if they didn't accept the temporary seasonal position, then they would have to reapply and go through the process of getting back on GA. But the ones that did accept the seasonal temporary position, it says here, they should be, just carried on after the job's over. Carry on, and then you just are, should be still on GA for accepting the seasonal temporary position. And I know a few people that I've talked to that said that they were just cut off after their job ended. And I don't think that's right. Seeing here in the CFR, which is, what the GA is trust monies, and that's the treaty. And they're supposed to, the CFR is just basically the regulation guideline what they were supposed to go by. But when I went up there to talk to one of or actually it was Barb, the caseworker, about it, she said she understood and agreed with me. Yeah, it's in the CFR. That's what, they should be going by. But Ricky at the time wasn't in. She's acting, right? She's acting director of all that. So she wasn't in, and I wasn't able to talk to her about it. But from what Barb said, she said that Ricky wasn't going to go by that because the policy, and it must be tribal policy, that they have to, after every job, they have to reapply for GA. So I'm just wondering how a tribal policy can overgo the CFR, the guidelines that the trust money is supposed to be going by. And I just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention.
Yeah, I always thought it was, from the last 2 years that I've oversaw that program, was you have to miss the September check because of the earned income.
And I've still talked to some people that didn't get their October check.
Their October check. And see, and that's how I always thought it was, just you missed that one, then you're automatic.
And then you should automatically be getting October. And there's few people out there that haven't gotten theirs, and they're told they have to be reapply. And with me, it's like if they were, like Ricky, she was down there, when they hired us, and she knows, all the people that, and the people that didn't. So, I'm just wondering if they could, I don't know, look into that or see what can be done about that.
I read also too in the CFR, the section 2316, it says if you do not seek acceptable local seasonal employment on your, or you quit a job within the cause, you cannot receive GA assistance for a period of at least 60 days. So that sanction is if you don't accept a job.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything in here like the sanctioning saying you will be ineligible for the program and need to reapply after you've accepted a job. It's actual requirement to
accept the seasonal temporary job.
And as I remember talking to Ricky too, and I can take a look at, I get a copy of that letter. I don't know if you have that letter that she gave to the GA recipients, when that before that even started. I think in that letter, it says that you will not get your September benefits, but you will receive, October's.
Yeah.
I believe it was in that letter, it stated it that way. And I can get a copy from her, but yeah, she should have, or according to the CFR, that income is just directed from the assistant payment, from general assistance. So, at the time it was 250. Well, if you made more than 250 on summer youth, of course it's going to get repeated all. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make, there's nothing in here that's.
When the job's over,
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, they're supposed to be kept
requiring
on.
them to reapply?
Yeah. Required to reapply, and even on the application here, I wanted to kind of point that out, that if it requires you to get a notary and then the lease information from the BIA stating that there's the individual doesn't receive any lease payments or any other income from that. But on here it says the information will remain in effect for 1 year from the date of signature until you request or rescind authorization. So even if it was less than a year that they had filled out the application, well, the notary and the, documents in there are still good for up to a year. So for them to have to, what did they work, 3 pay periods? Work 3 pay periods, they had their application in before that, but after the temporary job ended, they were told to reapply and redo the application. And I just didn't think that was right. So I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention and hopefully look into it or see what can be done about it. Because I know there's some that haven't received their October check. And they did fulfill the whole temporary job position.
Look into that, Big Russ.
Pardon me?
Can you look into that one?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
Which meeting was it? He did make, wasn't that the motion of anybody took the temporary job that they were still on GA, right? They just
Yeah.
couldn't accept the temporary.
Yeah. And there's some,
We talked about, that was in the ordinance.
They start in July.
I can get that.
That's whenever. I don't know, you guys started in June, huh?
yeah,
End of June? Oh, or end of July?
June to July.
July, so it should have been.
One thing that I can do is go and look at, obtain a list of the GA recipients for October, compare it with the list of the summer youth workers, and see which ones did and didn't, and why
Yeah,
they're not, it's not standard across the board. Why was there some of them that were allowed their October payment and some of them need to reapply?
Yeah.
So I can take a look at that list and compare the list.
GA checks. We just signed GA checks the other day.
yeah, the first was just Sunday, so.
But would you like to
Not
supposed to
it needs to be their payment or their assistance if it was done for, I don't know. But then I also need to take a look at that letter and see if it does comply with the CFR.
With the
right?
CFR, yeah.
I don't think it does, but.
There's nothing anymore from me. I guess I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Emma.
Yeah, I don't get GA myself, I just know other people.
Mr. Whitty?
So I'm speaking up for them. Sylvia's grandbaby, Sylvia Rush's daughter, Calista, her baby. She gets
Hi, Lance.
Good morning. Morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I've got your packets right here. I don't know if everybody got one. Two updates to go over. Inside of the packet, you'll see I do have quotes for a new camera system and with vape detectors for both schools. This is under the COPS grant, and with the new locks that got installed and this project, it's gonna be a little bit over the budget of the COPS grant. But it'll allow us to be about $40,000 we'll have to take out of ARPA funds to fund this project. But I think this is the timing for putting these cameras in is kind of a good time to do it with that COPS grant, because it'll cover all good 2/3 of the cost at least. So I guess I would ask for you to consider.
Electro with the low bid?
Electro was a low bid. I did reach out to another vendor as well, and they were surprised that they could get the cameras as cheap as they were getting them, but I didn't get into it too much. He didn't submit a bid, but that was on-site 24 or whatever, that 24 on-site.
Real quick, those vape detectors that you're ordering, are those like a smoke detector where it just detects it, then it,
Yeah, and then
does it trigger off like a fire alarm sound, or does it just go right?
it alerts our cell phones.
What?
It'll alert the cell phone, so an alarm will go off on your phone and tell you that somebody's vaping. And then we'll have cameras right outside the bathroom, so when we go there, we'll be able to see who entered and who, so forth.
And that alert the phone person that has the phone will go to the.
So like the principal and the maybe ISS supervisor would get alerted, and then they would go and check out the site. And then they can go back on the camera system and see who entered.
It doesn't give you a location on it, right?
It will. It'll give you a location, yeah. So we'll have them in 4 of the bathrooms at the high school at 4 bathrooms. There's 6 spots in the high school, and there's 4 spots in elementary. But the camera systems, we have a coax cable and everything right now, and they're pretty archaic, the cameras we have. And the camera quality is a lot better, and it'll be you can pull it up on your laptop. So even if there's a situation on the weekends or something, we'll be able to see camera footage from remote as well. We don't have to be in the building to see it. So we can probably work with law enforcement a lot better with that.
Gonna move on to the.
Yeah, I can move on to the next one and come back to it. Building renovation, replacement and renovation. So I've got kind of laid out in here the report of what's happened so far. We've requested $500,000 for a planning grant, which we were denied in our conversation with the BIA. And we are going to have a follow-up meeting in November to find out what schools got awarded funds on building projects, so that we can kind of track progress on that, because they have a lot of schools on the list, but they don't have the funding necessarily to fund them. So, and we're also putting together a letter to send to our congressmen to hopefully go after additional funding on that. We have a meeting this afternoon with the BIA and Mr. Cooney on a lease program, and they talk highly of this, but they say they'll pay the payment on the building and the interest, but I don't know how they guarantee loans on that. If the federal government's behind the payments, I would think that would be a kind of a shoe-in for a guarantor. But those are the questions I have, so I'll be asking them that this afternoon, because I think borrowing, and they did throw a number out on that school replacement when we were on that call, with $135 million. So that's for all new K-12 building, teacher housing, and I don't think that includes dormitories though, so that'll be an additional amount of money, but it would be a pretty sizable amount of money. The other thing with that, we just wrote a letter yesterday. We put together a budget and a scope of work for facility infrastructure and repair for about $4.5 million, which was that 638 agreement we signed earlier this summer. And so we're requesting a project manager for that from the BIA side, so that we can begin getting those funds. And we've asked for $2 million, approximately $2 million up front to start that. So hopefully we'll hear something back in the next day or two on that. If not, I'll keep hounding them for some type of movement. ARPA funds, you can see an update on what we have remaining in there. Also on the building renovations, we did get those trailer houses moved in. They're supposed to set them in the next, they said that by the end of the week, they'd be back to set them. And then once they set them, we'll put a chain link fence around them and begin the renovation on them. Again, back to kind of the conversation we had earlier, is those replace that size of building with a new building is $275,000. So you're looking at $550,000 for new ones, and we move these in for $50,000. And I believe we can at least get both of them renovated for the price of one new one and save ourselves roughly $300,000 possibly. And they'll be much more fortified, because you buy a new trailer house, you're gonna have vinyl siding on it. Well, we're gonna put corrugated steel on it and fortify it.
Did you bring them in already?
They're in already, yeah.
Oh, nice.
They're behind the elementary right now, so.
Yeah, they got in, ripped off the plastic on one side, went in, stole some furniture out of there. I think one of our worries is them trying to start them on fire or vandalize them more, so.
So we're hoping to get them set soon and get them fortified. Back to the USDA grant, they're working on that geothermal greenhouse. We had a little bit of delay due to the rain that kind of caved the wall in, but that's been fortified. They're starting to lay the floor in it now. So they'll be putting that in here the next day or two. And then we'll hopefully be able to start the above ground construction. And so that's going, I think, as well as it could at this point. The bus grant, we finally got a transition from the EPA over from the school to the tribe, which is where it should have been in the first place. And now it's an EPA issue, but it's now been approved and it's 60 days till the funding arrives. So I've been working with the bus manufacturer and the EPA to make sure that everything's flowing, and so far so good. And I know some of the schools in South Dakota already received theirs. And so, sounds like they're so far so good.
Now that comes with a charging station, right?
Charging station and and that grant also includes all the electrical to wire that in. So
That's up there behind the transit.
that's what we're looking to put it behind the transit building.
Oh, real quick, Tim, on that, will they have to add an extra transformer to supply that power supply, or is there enough power in there right now?
It'll be fine now. I actually had Clark Electric, the same electric company that wired that building, come down and put forth the proposal for that, and they said that they would be able to wire it in. I gave them all the specs on it.
Okay.
They said it was suitable for that.
All right, thanks, Lance. Real quick, while you're back, Faley, we need, Lance needs a vote on the bids. Electro, needing a low bid of, $262,581.89 for the cameras and vape detectors.
I'll make the motion.
Got a motion by Chris, second, Cody?
Yep.
Second by Cody. Any discussion of this? Chris?
No.
Bailey?
It says 262.
62.
Second page on the school packet.
Yeah, but, the bid says,
Yeah, there's a bid for the elementary and a bid for the
the bid says 120, and then this one says,
142. So
a second.
if you add those together, that adds up to,
Yeah, am I just missing a page here, or I don't know? Okay, so this one,
oh, I bet that back page didn't.
so I was just.
Yeah, the back page probably didn't print on all these, printed out funky, but,
Okay, so but together they're-
together, you've got this number here. You had a 142 for the middle school, high school.
Oh, okay.
120 for the elementary.
Okay, I see.
That's the total, yep. Good question.
Joe? Cody? No. Call for the vote, Lewis? Chris? Bailey? Joe? Motion carries 5-4, that's not voted.
Thank you, and they're gonna install those over the ideas over the Christmas break. They should be able to install all that. So we won't have kids in the building at that time. Last thing I was at, we did get the grant for the justice grant, so it's a long wait, but, I did include in there, some of the grant information for you to look at. So it's broke down, there's basically, the idea was to have one or two people, depending on the kind of person we're able to hire. The narrative is kind of broke down here where it explains what we're spending the money on. But to get one or two people that would, part of their day would be to run an alternative school in the morning. And then the other part of their day would be out working with courts, parents, and the school on the transition process. And so the idea behind this grant was a lot of times we get juveniles that return from their placement and they just transition right back into the mainstream of the school. And that a lot of times is not good for them or for the school as well because of, they're just right back in the mainstream and they probably need to have a transition period. And so this person would be in charge of working with courts and working with the school or two people. We have $485,000 over a 5-year period, but we could shorten that window if we had to hire two people to a 3-year period or something. But So that's a little bit about the grant. It's not necessarily a resource officer, which I think would be great if we could get another one of them in addition to this person. But it could be somebody with some authoritarian type of experience, you know, if they had experience in that kind of work, where they would be able to understand the juvenile system and work through that with the students. And the main thing is to support them on the transition. A lot of times they're not ready to transition right back into the mainstream.
Would that include one person for both schools?
Or this is primarily for a middle school, high school, because most of those juveniles, we rarely get a student that's sent to GCC from the elementary school. Usually it's a middle schooler or high schooler. So I would envision this being primarily at the middle school, high school level. So that's a little bit about the grant, but I wanted to mention it to you. That's kind of how it was written and what it was written for. There's some supplies in there as well, which might offset some of our camera placements because there is cameras written into this and some IT work as well. So I think there's some flexibility in it, but I just wanted to make you aware of how it was budgeted out. Any questions about that grant? Okay. Last grant we're still waiting to hear on is that $797,000 for 3 years, and that is the grant for language immersion. I just wrote yesterday to see when the process was supposed to be completed, but I would think any day we'd be hearing something. So still waiting on that. So yeah, we have some pretty big projects to manage. We have that 4.5 million. If that gets coming in, we'll be doing a lot of work in that area, trying to get some of these facilities upgraded. And I do think with that, the good thing about Mr. Iceberg that you guys hired as a consultant is that I believe when he gets in here and helps manage this project with us, is that he would be able to find other things that we can put into Maximo and get funded on, like a new parking lot for the middle school, high school. That is long overdue for replacement, and other things that just seem to be safety hazards in and around. And safety is their priority. So if it's a safety issue, they usually fund those fairly a little easier than other things that are more cosmetic. Activities and athletics, I've got a little update there. We're in full swing of all of our fall sports. We did have which I'm quite proud of this, our participation in hand games almost doubled. So instead of having just one hand game going on, we've had to make another group. And so there's quite a big participation in that regularly. And our junior ROTC is taking, I think, 35 to 40 students to that parade on Monday in Sioux Falls. So they'll be participating in that. And then today is the first day we're implementing a middle school gathering where we're going to feed our middle school students at 5 and then kind of do some introduction of some fun games or some, social interaction games, but then hopefully lead into talking circles, like a boys group and a female group. And we hope that will be a way to maybe teach them some conflict resolution skills so that maybe some of these incidents that we're having are not quite as prevalent. So we're going to give that a try, and I think we've got some good people involved, and I think hopefully it works well. Pretty pleased with our participation in our conferences. We had 76% at the elementary school and 63% at the middle school, high school. Any parent that did not attend will be reached out to and have a phone conversation with. I was pleased to see so many people come. And then we had the fall map scores, and then what we're doing is tying those into that new IXL intervention program. So we'll be able to share some data back in a mid-year report telling you about what kind of progress we've seen with that application. That's all I had for today. So do you have questions? Yeah.
I want to congratulate you on your accreditation through the Commission for Ocheti Chapeau. So do they send a team out and take a look at things?
Yeah, so they're connected with Cognia. So they fall under the Cognia umbrella, which used to be back years ago, it was NCA, then it was Advanced Ed. And so they have partnered with Cognia. So when we did the Cognia accreditation, they sent 2 team members from COSA. And they joined them in that process.
Look at, make sure that the teachers are implementing OCT shuffle.
Yep. And so we got a good report from them. We have to provide them an annual update on progress that we're making. And so now we have that OCT Wakan curriculum. So that'll be an update to give to them to say that we're now implementing it more fully through the school.
Do you have to sign up in order for that to happen, or?
Yeah, you have to sign up for it. So some schools in South Dakota just use Cognia only, and then some schools use Cognia COSA.
I'm thinking of Lyman County and Chamberlain. If they wanted to get under this, they would have to contact that commission.
Yeah, and we can certainly provide them the information. Deb Bordeaux is the one that leads that right now.
When you do contact, what's the superintendent's name over?
Mr. Long?
Over in Lyman?
Yeah, Mr. Long, Chris Long.
I have a box of those OCT Shalkoe readings, like,
Yeah.
see if they got another box for him if he wants it.
We've been working with Cultural Resources kind of on the same topic with getting some of those prints made for our Lakota classrooms that he's made of our chiefs that were our founding chiefs. And so we're putting those, displaying those in the classrooms, hopefully trying to get them up and going here. And then also he's been sharing some of the minutes with us from the past council meetings, like 1939, Dr. Molyneux. And we're giving those to our tribal government classes, and they're reading through those as history lessons.
And he showed us a big portrait, or not a portrait, a picture of.
Big Maine?
Yeah.
That's cool, yeah. He gave that to us, but I'm trying to get them so they're all sized the same. But anyway, that's all I had, unless there's other questions.
One, it's not really a question, but I was watching, when I was out in Rapid, watching the TV, and I saw ROTC kids in the Cadillac commercial.
Yeah, they made their Helloland commercial.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, are you guys gonna do, like, I know they're doing the Halloween carnival, but like last year, remember in front of the high school, they did the trunk or treat thing?
Yeah, we probably will. I guess I wasn't at that meeting at the interagency when they decided on the Halloween. I don't know how much involvement we have with it, but I will be there next week. But yeah, we'll probably try to coincide both of those events.
Okay.
And make it so that it works for everybody. I know one of the issues was I don't think it started early in the day, so it was done before the Lyman kids got back. So we might be able to time that more into the evening.
Yeah, that'd be good. I know those little kids enjoyed it, and
Good.
programs that got involved as well.
We will work on that. And then homecoming week's this week. I forgot to mention that. So the game is 4:00 on Friday versus Marty. So
What time is the
parade's at 11.
11?
Yep. And then
Friday,
we're
right?
going to release at 12:45 on Friday. Yeah.
Will you let Stady know that, I said thank you very much for the budget information that she had submitted. It was very nicely put together, and she put, submitted that without even, any kind of request or anything like that, just so.
No, she does a good job with that.
It was really nice
Appreciate
to
it.
have that.
Anytime you need any questions answered with the finances from our end, surely reach out.
So just let her know, thank you.
All about transparency, so.
One more, Adam Sandler, what's gonna happen there?
I dressed up like Happy Gilmore yesterday, so. Not sure what all the other kids did. Today is pink. There's a lot of pink running around the school for.
Thank you, Lance.
Thanks, Lance. Dolly Parton does her, she has her Eden's like.
Morning, Brad. Morning, everybody. Pick up on your question, Chris. Interagency is planning on the 30th to have a Halloween carnival at the community center. So, and that's part of my presentations. That's going to involve everybody. That was a pretty cool meeting. I think you all know that I facilitate that interagency meeting.